"You're under citizen's arrest for unauthorized grilling." That sentence changed everything. It was a sunny Saturday in Silverwood Estates. The kind of day Norman Brooks, the county sheriff, had been waiting for all week. 5 straight days of dealing with loud neighbors, lost pets, and the kind of petty calls that came with small-town life had finally given way to a quiet afternoon. The grill was hot. The ribs were marinated and sweet tea glistened in mason jars on a folding table. Life, for the first time in a while, was good. Then came the screech. It erupted from across the street. A microphone hooked up to a portable speaker, blasting a nasal voice that grated like rusted hinges. "Attention residents of Silverwood. The HOA's Block Safety Initiative is now in effect. All unauthorized activities must cease immediately." Norman looked up from his grill, spatula in hand, eyebrows raised. He knew that voice. Everyone did. Martha Lively, president of the Silverwood Homeowners Association, self-appointed guardian of suburban virtue and proud owner of a laminated rule book thicker than most phone directories. And true to form, she wasn't alone. Marching behind her were her 3 enforcers, Keith, Ron, and the other one, Norman could never remember. All clad in matching navy polos with Silverwood Tactical Response embroidered on the chest. Each wore reflective sunglasses and serious expressions like mall cops auditioning for a movie no one wanted to watch. Behind them, golf carts done up with duct-taped LED lights and black paint jobs idled in the cul-de-sac like toy tanks. Norman knew something dumb was about to happen, but he didn't know how dumb. Martha strutted down the sidewalk in tactical yoga gear. As Norman's deputy once described it, a pair of utility leggings with pockets for her clipboard, her whistle, and what appeared to be a custom pepper spray labeled Lively Mist. She came to a full stop at Norman's fence, narrowed her eyes at the grill, and pointed dramatically. "You've been warned before, Norman. Your smoke is violating the designated breathable air zone for the neighborhood gathering." He glanced up. "I'm on my property, Martha. Always have been. Built it 10 years before this HOA was even a thought." She ignored him, pulled a walkie-talkie from her belt, and barked, "Unit Alpha to base. Suspect resisting compliance at Lot 7, preparing for detainment." He blinked. "You're kidding, right?" Apparently not. Within 10 minutes, the golf cart convoy rolled up with a wailing siren that sounded like a goose being strangled. Keith jumped out first, holding a pair of plastic zip ties like they were evidence from a crime scene. "Sir, step away from the meat and place your hands where we can see them." Norman raised an eyebrow. "Do you boys want to think this through?" Ron hesitated. "I don't know, Martha." "Do it," Martha barked. "He's impersonating law enforcement to dodge HOA accountability." And then it happened. Keith stepped forward and slapped the zip ties around Norman's wrist, too tight, unnecessarily so, and began marching him toward the driveway like he'd just arrested a fugitive. He didn't fight. He didn't even raise his voice. Why would he? Right on cue, a real patrol car rounded the corner and pulled up to the curb. Deputy Lisa Moreno and Deputy Greg Harper stepped out, sunglasses low, eyes wide. Martha didn't miss a beat. "Officers, you're just in time. We've detained a man threatening neighborhood unity and air purity." Greg looked at Norman, then at the tactical trio. "Martha," Norman said, smiling. "Might want to stop talking." She didn't. She launched into a speech about bylaws and citizens' arrest authority, referencing legal precedent she clearly found on Reddit and something called the Community Integrity Mandate. A crowd gathered. Phones came out. Lisa stepped forward, cut the zip ties, and handed them back to Keith. "You just cuffed the sheriff," she said flatly. Keith turned white. Martha, on the other hand, doubled down. "I don't care what badge he has. He grilled ribs without filing a protein registration form with the HOA." That drew a snort from Greg. Lisa actually laughed. Norman held up the citation Martha shoved into his chest. Violation 6A, weaponized barbecue emissions. He held it aloft for the crowd. Weaponized. The laughter spread. Martha, unbothered, flipped her clipboard to a fresh page. Section 22B states grills must be approved by the HOA's Environmentally Friendly Cooking Committee. "Which is that you?" Norman asked. "Correct," she said proudly. Greg took out his phone and began recording. "Evidence," Norman said, smirking. Martha, fueled by attention, pointed to the crowd. "This man grilled chicken without clearance. He endangers our unity." Somebody in the back muttered, "Is this performance art?" Norman pulled out his wallet and held up his badge. "I'm Sheriff Norman Brooks, elected law enforcement for this county. What you've done here on my property, detaining me under a fabricated ordinance, that's unlawful detainment. A hush fell. Martha blinked. You're bluffing. I have the right to protect this neighborhood. There is no law that gives you authority over non-HOA property, he said. You can't impersonate officers. You can't detain people, and you sure as hell can't run a fake SWAT team funded by HOA dues. Whispers rippled through the crowd. Greg stepped forward. Deputy's orders. Cease all operations. Collect statements. We're opening a file. Martha gasped. You can't do this. Oh, we can, Greg replied. Martha turned to her team. Do something. Keith cleared his throat. I think I left my taser. I mean flashlight. I need to go. Her illusion of power cracked, then shattered. Later that day, Norman attended an emergency HOA meeting called by Martha. The clubhouse was beige, depressing, with motivational posters about teamwork. Martha took her throne at the center of the table, flanked by two miserable board members. She began another speech, this time about sheriff overreach and grill terrorism. Norman waited until she finished. Then stood. This is my property deed, he said, dated 1996. This HOA was formed in 2008. You have no jurisdiction. He handed it to her. You've misused HOA funds, created an unauthorized security force, and fined people for sidewalk chalk and birthday balloons. That ends today. A board member spoke. Is that true, Martha? Before she could answer, a woman in the crowd stood. I'm the accountant. $47,000 last year went to neighborhood defense, including the golf carts, uniforms, radios, and catered tactical meetings at Keith's house. Gasps filled the room. That wine was for morale. Martha shouted. The board member nodded solemnly. We're opening a review. I'm the president, she screamed. Not anymore, someone muttered. Outside, the wind carried the smell of burnt ribs from Norman's backyard. He smiled. It wasn't over. Not yet. Martha wouldn't give up that easily. But now he was ready. In the days that followed, the security patrols disappeared. The neighborhood relaxed. For the first time in months, people smiled at the mailbox. Norman started investigating unofficially at first, just conversations. He spoke with a retired teacher fined for a flagpole, her late husband's military memorial. A young father fined for aesthetically disruptive sighting. A single mom forced to pay cash for emergency party to noise violations. None of it legal, all of it threatening. Then came the call from Jason Yu, a local software engineer. Jason had picked up a strange drone signal, not a toy, but a professional-grade surveillance drone with a mic and GPS routing. Norman went to his house. Jason showed him the footage. Norman's backyard. A private phone call with a DEA contact. Clear audio. This wasn't a neighborhood watch. It was spying. Norman brought the data to the county legal team. The verdict was swift. Unauthorized surveillance on law enforcement personnel was a federal crime. They needed more. Enter Julie Thompson, HOA treasurer. She'd stayed quiet out of fear, but now she was done. Over coffee, she handed Norman a flash drive. Cover names. She whispered line items disguised as gardening expenses. The files were damning equipment logs. Fake training seminars, badge printers. One workshop was titled Tactical HOA Engagement. Pictures showed Keith posing with a grill labeled Hostile Unit. Emails revealed the truth. Martha had written, "We need intelligence on Norman before he uses his badge against us." That was the nail. The district attorney approved a raid. Search warrants were signed. Norman didn't lead it. Too close. But he was there watching. The task force rolled in. Unmarked vans, drone units, forensic teams. Martha stood on her porch in a pink bathrobe, coffee mug in hand. "This is unconstitutional," she yelled. They showed her the paperwork. Inside her office closet, they found a war room, maps, photos, labels like hostile, compliant, and under observation. There was even a mock HOA curfew plan. Footage from her drone included a sunbathing couple, a family argument, and a child's birthday party, narrated by Martha complaining about sugar-based drink violations. She was suspended that day. A town hall was held. Hundreds showed. Norman didn't gloat. He apologized. "I should have seen it sooner," he said. "This isn't about grilling. It's about power." Resident after resident spoke. An old man fined for wind chimes. A teen girl whose car didn't meet visual standards. A vet with a wheelchair ramp violation. It poured out. When Martha tried to enter, she was stopped. She shouted to reporters, "This is a witch hunt." She wasn't arrested yet, but the DA pressed charges. Wiretapping, fraud, impersonation, harassment. The board froze all HOA activities, installed a temporary manager. Martha's assets were flagged. Norman visited the office one last time alone. He packed her corkboard strings, photos, all of it into a box, added her president nameplate, drove it to the records office. That night, someone grilled ribs nearby. No complaints. 3 weeks later, the trial began. Martha represented herself. She wore sunglasses, a bright blazer, and carried a binder labeled Freedom versus Tyranny, HOA edition. She quoted Facebook threads and TikTok videos as legal precedent. She accused Norman of political revenge, but the jury heard the truth: drone footage. Finances. Fake violations. The moment the birthday footage played, the room turned. The judge, patient until now, interrupted. "Ms. Lively, this is not your TED Talk." She was convicted on 6 counts. Her sentence: 800 hours of supervised community service. A lifetime ban from HOA leadership and restitution to residents. Her first assignment: washing sheriff's department vehicles. Twice a week, she walked past Norman in a neon vest. She sneered. He raised his coffee. She never spoke. Silverwood changed. The new HOA president, a retired city clerk named Ramona, canceled every bogus fine, refunded thousands, opened the books. The community healed. Brad, who flipped early, took a civics class and now worked part-time at the pool. Keith disappeared. Ron was spotted working at a tire shop 3 towns over. One afternoon, Ramona brought Norman a pie. "Thanks for bringing us back," she said. A block party was held. No drama, no patrols. Someone made a cardboard cutout of Martha for the dunk tank labeled Excessive Joy Enforcer. Everyone laughed. Near sunset, Norman saw her. Martha in her vest, trash picker in hand. Quiet. She walked past him. Didn't speak, but she wasn't a threat anymore. "Think she'll try again?" Lisa asked. Norman shook his head. "She might," he said. The stars came out. Music drifted. And for the first time in a long time, Silverwood wasn't just a neighborhood. It was home.